Hello guys, thanks a lot for joining me. So let's see what exactly we can understand from today's session. Let me give you some brief idea about the session also. What exactly we are going to cover. I will definitely give you some strategy in terms of definitely scoring Q51. And frankly, I will tell you when I took the paper last time, I felt that GMAT is still not all about quantitative aptitude, which you are looking for. It is not about mathematics, which you are looking for. It is purely the logic-based test and logic based paper, you can say. So in logic based paper you need minimum preparation if you look at the mathematical part, and your logic should be on place and your thinking should be different in terms of solving these questions, and that we will look into in our classes, how we can change our way of thinking and way of approaching questions here. So in this particular class, first of all, definitely we'll discuss about some strategy how to handle quant section when it comes to GMAT paper. And then we will definitely solve few questions, close to 6 to 7 questions, to give you idea about that, how you supposed to handle the question, or in better way to say, how I prefer to handle the questions here. So just a quick questions from everybody here, and you have one chat box in front of you. Can you tell me how many of you writing GMAT before 20th September? How many of you writing GMAT before 20th September? In chat box, you can definitely answer me yes or no. Good number of people are writing before 20th September. Okay. So definitely your target. Why I asked 20th September, I think Saksham, you're not aware of that because 20th September is the last date to apply for ISP round one. And when we apply for round one, it is a very good probability that we get the scholarship from those people. And that's why we are looking for some people who are very serious and writing for the round one. And definitely we look for the round two letter also. We'll have enough number of workshops, enough number of classes, enough number of courses. So you'll be having idea about that, how to handle this whole paper. First of all, let me show you what exactly I have done and how I can help you in this journey. It will be definitely, I'm very excited to help you guys because there is always something better to share with you guys in terms of handling these kind of the papers, which are definitely based upon logic, but people are pressing you and asking you do some fundamentals, do some mathematics involved and solve the questions. Okay, few things up to class, I will say 7th standard is enough to crack any question based, which is can be the part of GMAT. So this is my scorecard, guys. I took the GMAT few years back, around 18. I took the GMAT here, and my overall score was 51, which is the highest you can get in a paper. So which exactly I got 51, and I was sure about that. Nobody can get above 51, even though GMAT claims that total score is 60, and I can show you why I'm sure about that. Nobody can score above 51 about this, because when I saw I ordered ESR, why I couldn't score more than 51. Then I just got to know, okay, actually their process does not work in that way. If you're reaching 51, that's the highest which you can acquire. So this is my ESR copy, and my GMAT ID is mentioned, which if you think you can definitely confirm from GMAT. This is something which I planned my GMAT. How much time I took for the first quarter, how much time I took the second quarter, and all the 4 quarters, how I decided my GMAT timing should be moving. And that's a very, very important. And we have a different panel for here, which is headed by Anurag Tripathi, and he is an exam strategy expert. I give you, in my knowledge, nobody is better than him when it comes to exam strategy expert, because whatever exam he has taken till now and he cracked in one shot. So that will definitely help you. Strategy is very, very important when you're taking the paper here. So here, when it comes to GMAT point of view, two things which I felt are very important. Number one, your patience, because the GMAT is a very long paper. Most of the time we lose patience after 1 hour, and that's how we fall in the trap of GMAT. So patience is very, very important in GMAT. So for that we have to solve close to, you can say, 4 and 5 mocks we have to write to get the used to of the particular concept and particular way of sitting, because it is very difficult to concentrate continuously close to 3 hours. So that's why patience is very important. Second is very, very important thing is that time management. GMAT is not a random exam where you can solve few set of questions and you can score very well. You have to attempt all the questions if you really want to score very good in quantitative aptitude and verbal ability. These two parts are there. So what I did while scoring 51, you can see that, I'm sorry. So you can see that here, I got 51 in GMAT, but you see not a single question was wrong here. I'm not saying why not a single question is wrong, because when I was seeing the questions, it was pretty easy for me to attempt all these questions, because I mostly use logic rather than mathematics in terms of solving the question. Because and I'm sure about that, I finished my paper whatever time was allotted to me. I finished close to 5 to 6 minutes before even whatever time was allotted. So even though that's why they have given you average time whatever I took here. First quarter was very easy, which happens most of the time. And I do request you guys, if you are planning to take GMAT, you cannot miss out your first quarter. First quarter, which is something you can never ever ignore. If you falter in first quarter, overall score comes down. It doesn't matter how much better you are doing in other quarters. So what we have to do, most of the cases, first quarter and second quarter are the build-up quarters. So these quarters we have to perform very well. At least 90% accuracy if you're having, you can still maintain 51. 51 can come when you are having one or maximum two questions wrong. Maximum. You cannot afford more than this. Then you can still reach. I'm not saying you will 100% reach, but you can still reach at 51, because it matters what level of questions you are committing wrong. If it is a very high level, it is still probability you can reach up to 51. But if you are making and doing some silly mistakes in easy questions, it is very difficult to reach up to 51 in that case. So that's the difference between 50 or 51. If you ask me, it is a hardly any difference. Hardly 1 and 2 questions difference is there. So when I took the paper of the GMAT, you can see that how I decided my time management. So first quarter I did very fast. Even though GMAT says 2 minutes allotted time is there, you can see first quarter I even finished very fast. And this particular quarter, I took less than 1.5 minutes even. So this is something you have to plan. When paper is easy, we have to move fast. And this particular quarter questions we can easily predict also. I will definitely, you see the classes. I tell mostly first 7 to 8 questions in GMAT, it is definitely predictable. You can definitely predict questions from which section questions are coming and what level of questions are coming. It's a predictable part. But yeah, when you move away from first quarter, then yeah, that's actual knowledge. Now, how are you managing your time? It matters. And you see that maximum average time which I took in terms of solving my GMAT questions, the third quarter, the maximum time, because that's the time where you have to maintain your score. First 2 quarters, we build up our score. Next 2 quarters, we maintain our score. And that's how we manage to get whole ranking here. So this is something basic which I wanted to communicate and share with you guys. And finally, I got a chance to do so. So this we will definitely share how we can build up time management, how we can look into that part. That can be definitely shared with you guys. Here, if we move further, what exactly we are offering? We are having a very structured plan for English as well as for quant. Mostly I and Anurag take the quant classes, and these topics will be covering to that. But today I'm not here to do some marketing of my course, whatever I'm gonna provide you guys. Today I am here to show you few questions which are the official guide questions or GMAT prep questions. I took only official questions here to show you how to approach these questions. Even though we give you personalized study plan, you can call us anytime 24/7. You can discuss your doubts with us, as well as if you have any issue in terms of analyzing your mock. Assume that you wrote one GMAT prep mock and you want us to analyze your mock, we are ready for that also. And that thing will happen on one-on-one basis. So this is all about what exactly I give and what exactly we can offer. So as you can see, I scored 51, and I'm pretty sure that if I can get 51, I can make you get 51 also. So now come back to the point here and look at our classes and a few questions, how I can help you at the crunch time when you're about to take your GMAT. So this is something which I wanna discuss in detail now. Now, as most of you are already aware of that, if you ask me any question which is a part of GMAT, what topics they have, they have very limited number of topics. Even though you asked me how to categorize the topics, that's why I showed you whole course, how we are categorizing topic. But if you ask me in detail, we know that topics which are involved here, number theory, people are keep calling me and asking me, sir, how can I improve my number theory? Number should be a forte. And if it is not, we'll make it forte for you. Look at the way we solve the questions. And second, we can say you can look for the other topic is arithmetic. Other topic is algebra, which we say modulus questions are there, inequality questions are there, and next topic comes out to be geometry. So we have only these 4 topics which we have to deal with. PNC, NC, we can say it's a part of algebra ultimately. So here, why PNC part of the algebra? Because ultimately the product and multiplication is there. Either you can put in numbers or you can put in algebra. GMAT is all about logic, handling questions through multiplication and division, nothing else. And there are only 2 types of the questions are there, which everybody is aware of. And there are only, if you ask me how many ways of learning we have, we can learn through numbers, we can learn through words, we can learn through variables, and we can learn through diagram. The only 4 ways of learning we have. Pick any paper which is related to aptitude, the only 4 ways of learning. Now, numbers are very, very important whether you're writing any aptitude paper, because numbers we use for counting purpose. So numbers is something which you can never ignore. It's a very, very important when you write any paper here. But if you ask me what is arithmetic, arithmetic is something when you're writing very good story and representing these numbers into words. When you start representing these numbers into words, it becomes nothing else arithmetic. And similarly, when you start representing numbers into variables, right? When you start representing numbers into variables, we can, it's called algebra. And when you start representing numbers into diagram, it becomes geometry. So actually everything is very well connected here. And what problem we have, rather than thinking in this way and logically, we try to think, okay, we did percentage, we did ratio, we did average. Dude, what you're doing? You are learning same thing again and again, you're not able to connect it back. If you think and connect it back, you will feel that whole arithmetic is all about A into B is equal to C. You pick any arithmetic, topic, I can show you whole arithmetic is nothing else, A into B is equal to C. Whole arithmetic. You can see that price into quantity is equal to expenditure. Time into speed is equal to distance. Average into number of terms is equal to total sum. A rate of working into time taken is equal to total work done. Everything. Either you can learn 4 and 5 chapters and be happy, or you can connect it back and you can see how things are moving further. So now let's come back to, this is something which we discuss in our class, how to handle and how to learn all the concepts in much better manner. If you ask me personally, we know that there are 2 types of the questions you come across, PS and DS. We have 2 types of the questions, PS and DS, and most of the people do face problem when it comes to DS part. So today we'll learn not only how to handle PS, but also we'll spend very good amount of time to correct DS questions, how I see DS questions. PS, something which we generally get very comfortable because since our childhood we are seeing MCQ based questions. So PS we are slightly comfortable, but when it comes to DS, we definitely face problems because most of the tricky questions will be created on this particular platform. So that we have to look into how we can handle DS point of view. If you ask me personally, only 2 types of the questions you will come across in DS, which I categorize, or you can also categorize after seeing previous GMAT papers. Only 2 questions are there in DS. Either question is based upon what, or question is based upon is or was. Only these 2 questions are possible. Pick any number, any question based upon DS, you can categorize in 2 parts, what and is or was. No other question is possible after that. Now, when question is based upon what, do remember this, we always look for numerical unique value. Whenever you are looking for questions based upon what, we always look for numerical unique value. If we are getting more than one values in what questions, it means that statement is not sufficient. You get more than one value, the statement is not sufficient. Is and was questions, if you see is and was questions, are pretty easy, because if you get confirmed yes, or you get right, or you get confirmed no, you get confirmed yes or you get confirmed no, we can say statement is sufficient to answer the question. Anything is possible, confirmed yes or confirmed no. But if you get yes and no, it means this statement is not sufficient. This is something which we have to look into, and that's more than enough to answer any question which you see in a paper. Let me frame question for you. Let me first of all show you what are the possible answer options which we are having, and those answer options we know is already fixed one. If you ask me answer options, all the answer options in paper already fixed one. So answer, we should not worry about that. This is anyway fixed one is given to us. So answer you should be knowing beforehand. So we know that if you look at your GMAT paper, these answer options are already fixed. These 5 answer options are already fixed one, which is not going to change. So we should be knowing these answer options beforehand. And now questions can be created over that. If you ask me how we can create the question, if I'm asking questions over what, how we can create the question, I can ask here. A very basic question I can ask here to make you understand everything. Question like this: what is x? So what is x we are looking for? And here we can write down x cube is equal to -8, and second statement is given to us x square is equal to 4. So these two statements we have. Question is very clear. What is x? And everybody can answer this question. What is the answer? I know everybody knows this answer. Statements are A, B, C, D, E. The statements are fixed. Statement 1 says only first statement is sufficient. Statement 2 says only second statement is sufficient to get the unique value. Statement 3 says both together sufficient. D says both individually sufficient. And last one, you cannot solve this question. You cannot answer this question. What is the value of x? So can you tell me what's the answer here? Within 10 seconds? A, right? Everybody knows the answer. It's a very fast you can do it. A is the answer here. Why? Why, if you ask me? Because here we know in this case x will be equal to -2, and in this case x can be -2 or +2. That we do not know. In this case x is definitely -2. In this case x can be +2 or -2. So here, when we got answer from the first statement, what is x? We got the unique value here, -2. So definitely we can say this statement is anyway sufficient. But here we can see we are getting 2 different values. Definitely this statement is not sufficient here. This is something which is very much clear to everybody here, whoever is attending the classes. But assume that if I change the question now, assume that if I'm having different question altogether, let me ask you in that. I'm looking for what is x. Assume that I'm looking for what is x. I wrote here first statement, x cube is equal to x cube is equal to a cube, and x square is equal to a square. Then you tell me what answer will you pick. If I say x cube is equal to a cube and x square is equal to a square, then what answer you're gonna pick here? I want answer from everybody. Whoever is there should participate at least. It should be two-way communication. Fast, guys. Yes, very good. Saksham, very good. Ayush, very good. Harshit, Amir, very good. I want answers from everybody. Everyone should participate here. I'm telling you, I will definitely create the difference if you stay in the class not more than 1 hour. The class is hardly 1 hour class, but in 1 hour you will see huge difference in you. अब देखिए यहाँ पे थोड़ा देखते हैं यहाँ पे थोड़ा stop guys and see what exactly problem is happening and why we are not able to look into that and why we are not able to answer question correctly. Are you guys listening to me very properly? This question arises, are you guys actually listening to me very properly? If you go back and see now, I told you very clearly here whenever you see what questions, listen very carefully, whenever you see what questions, we have to look for unique numerical value. I told you very clearly, numerically value which is a unique one. I cannot have variable part. I cannot say x is equal to y and y is equal to z, which is wrong. I cannot say x is equal to a, which is wrong. We need numerical value here, guys. And when we are looking for numerical value here, can you tell me with this statement we can get the numerical value anywhere? No. If I am saying x is equal to a, it is useless. I can say a is equal to b is equal to c is equal to d. It is a keep going on. So we cannot get numerical value anywhere. So as soon as you see here, only variables are involved, it is a logic question. Answer is E. You cannot answer this question. Done. This much time you're supposed to be taking. You should not be thinking twice. So your concept clarity should be very, very important. No variable can be answered for what questions for sure. The very basic understanding. Always you should look for a numerical value. So here, if some people are having confusion, I can still say, yeah, if you can take a is equal to 1, a is equal to 0, still everything will satisfy. How can you mark the answer? So it is, if you're putting the values also, you will not get the answer. Otherwise, you know the basics. What are the basics here? Whenever variables are involved, you can definitely not the answer. You cannot answer the question. So directly you can mark the answer in E here. Because this is a basic which I'm trying to teach you, which you should be knowing beforehand. This is basic thing. Whenever what ways questions are there, you should always look for a numerical value there, nothing else. And that will create the difference here. Now, let me bring a few official guide questions and let me see how we can handle these questions in much better way. And some concept clarity we'll do in the beginning. In the beginning, few questions I will put definitely easy one, and then definitely move towards good questions. Because first two questions or first question you can say will be definitely 600 level, which I want everyone should be knowing it beforehand. And then definitely we'll solve 700 plus level questions here. And then definitely discuss strategy and tricks in terms of solving the questions. So here you go. Here we are having our first question here. So first question, you try out. 5 answer options are there. You have enough time to try out. But I tell you it beforehand. In any question in GMAT, which is a part of GMAT, you should not be taking more than 2 minutes. If you are taking more than 2 minutes, the meaning of this, you are not doing in the right direction. So follow the right direction and get the answers. Clear? So guys, take your time and try out this question. I can give you only 1.5 minutes for this question. AB is equal to BC, right? AB is equal to BC. Okay? So here, if you see what they are saying, AB is equal to BC. You cannot cut B from here, which is wrong method of solving. And this is something which GMAT is keep checking year by year and almost in every paper. People do mistake. They immediately cut this down. You cannot do so. What about when A is equal to 0? Or what about when B is equal to 0? You cannot do so. You cannot cut this number. So to solve any equation, you have to take everything in one side. AB minus BC will be equal to 0. So B we can take common. So it comes out to be A minus C is equal to 0 now. Now, product of two numbers is 0. B into A minus C is equal to 0. It is also not definitely true. Both of them should be 0. Even though one of them is 0, is more than enough to get the 0 here. So two cases will come here. Number 1, when B is 0. Number 2, when A minus C is equal to 0. So when A minus C is equal to 0, then we can say A is equal to C. Right? Then we can say A is equal to C. When B is equal to 0, can't say anything. So two cases are here. Now two cases we have to look into. Number 1, when B is equal to 0. Number 2, when A minus C is equal to 0. Whatever statement is given to us. Through that. Now look at the first statement. When A is equal to 20. When A is equal to 20 here, let's put 20. 20 into 0 is equal to 0 into C. Can we say C can be 20 or C cannot be 20? We cannot say anything from here. Because this equation is anyway getting satisfied. C may be 20 here or C can be any other number. 40 year, 50 year, 100 year, even though this equation is true, are we getting unique value for C? No, we're not getting unique value for C. So definitely we can say first statement is not sufficient. So I use the first statement and we got to know first statement is not sufficient here. Now look at the second statement, and when first statement is not sufficient, I hope you know, this is called BCE. A cannot be answer and D cannot be answer now. Answer only can be B, C or E. Now here we say, if you look at the second statement, when B is equal to 10. Now when B is equal to 10, let's put 10. Because when B is equal to 10, this is anyway wrong. There is something not possible. So what is we left with? A should be equal to C. So when B is equal to 10, the first statement, not sufficient. So second statement, if you see, they are saying B is equal to 10. Let's put there. A into 10 is equal to 10 into C. Now 10, 10, now we can easily cancel it. So what we are getting from here, A is equal to C. Once we got A is equal to C from here, do we know unique value of C? Not unique only, unique numerical value of C. Do we know this? No, we only know this A is equal to C from here. We do not know any unique numerical value of C. So we can say from here, second statement is also not sufficient. Now, when both these statements individually are not sufficient, then you will combine both these statements. And now you have to combine both these statements. So first statement says A is equal to 20 and second statement says B is equal to 10. Now, when first statement says A is equal to 20, it means we can put this 20, and second statement says A is equal to 10, this is 10, this should be equal to 10 into C. Now we can definitely get what the value of C. So what is C here? C is also equal to 20. So if you club both these statements, my dear friend, then you can see you can definitely pick the answer of this question. So correct answer for the given question should be equal to C here. So basic things we do commit mistake, we immediately cancel out everything. Okay? This is, I will say, Amir 650 level question, not more than that. Because I haven't started with 700 plus level questions. You will see this is 650 level question, and I do request, there's a trap of GMAT. They use almost in every paper. So you should be knowing this trap. Equation, inequalities, then these things are coming. You can add, subtract both the sides, but you cannot cancel anything in that case. Got the point? This is not difficult question which I will say. But yes, this can be solved very easily when you are in paper situation. Easy? Doubt? Any doubt you have, please do address your doubts. I'm ready to help you out in any scenario. Any scenario if you have any doubt. I'm very happy to help you out. No doubt, then we'll move towards one more question. And I'm just discussing almost every part of the question. If you look at modulus based question, because see here, Praveen asked the question, very good. Praveen, because here you see, if I'm writing a square minus b square, this a square minus b square, right? Assume that this I'm writing a square minus b square divided by a minus. If I'm writing, assume that a into, like take some example, a into 0 is equal to 0 into c. Can you cut 0 from here? No, right? No, I will definitely discuss some few PS questions also, don't worry about it. Can you cut 0 from here? No, you cannot cut 0 from here. 0 is not a number which can be cut from here. Similarly, I say if I'm writing a square minus b square divided by a minus b. If you're solving this question, and if I say a minus b is equal to 0, technically what should be this number? 0 by 0. But if you're solving in this way, we can write down, you can see if a is equal to 20 and b is equal to 20, if you do so, what we can write down? If I use a square minus b square, we can do 20 plus 20 into 20 minus 20 divided by 20 minus 20, which will equal to, got cancel, comes out to 40. Is it 40? No, it cannot be 40, right? Because we know 20 square minus 20 square divided by 20 minus 20 which is undefined form, 0 by 0 form. We cannot cut 0 from anywhere, whether the division, multiplication, equation, anything. It is not possible. Otherwise, you keep getting wrong answer for almost every question. 10 square minus 10 square divided by 10 minus 10. If you use a square minus b square, it will be 10 plus 10 into 10 minus 10 divided by 10 minus 10. You cut, you got 20. Is it 20? No, it cannot be 20. So what we can say, when 0 form is there, it cannot be cut. This form you cannot cut here. Okay? Chali, come back. Look at this particular question, because I picked this question. The reason behind it, number one, this particular question is a modulus based question, and if you see previous year's papers, they have asked enough number of modulus questions. I just want to know the way you are approaching this question. Second, what's the answer of this question? So take 1.5 minutes, try to answer this question, and definitely I will come up with a very good solution for you. All of them are official guide, 700 plus level questions here. Take your time, take 1.5 minutes, and then we'll discuss it. No problem, no problem. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. See, the way you handle the question, it matters. For me, if I am gonna take paper tomorrow, assume that I am gonna take paper tomorrow. For me, if I don't know modulus, assume that I'm very bad in modulus. I do not know modulus, and as I told you, I am very logical person. I perceive things through logical way rather than mathematical way. I do not know modulus. Why should I study modulus? Modulus are mathematical things. I should be logical paper. I'm solving logical things. So remember here, what we only supposed to know in terms of modulus. Modulus is a function which will always give you a positive output. If you know only this, it is more than enough to get any answer. Modulus is a function which always give you a positive output. It can never ever give you negative output. Have you heard somewhere modulus x is equal to minus 100? Not possible. Right? It's not possible, something which is cannot exist even. So modulus is always a positive thing which everybody is aware of. Now look at here. Now come back. They are saying y is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, they are saying y is greater than or equal to 0. I can say y can be 1, y can be 2, y can be 3, y can be 4. I do not know what is y. What are they looking for? Find the value of x. When we are looking for value of x, what exactly we are looking for here? Unique numerical value. Right? Unique numerical value which we are interested with. Now look at the first question. First statement, if you see here, they are saying mod x minus 3 is greater than or equal to y. What are the y? Y can be 1, y can be 2, y can be 3. I do not know. Y can be 4. Right? Y can be 4. You tell me, will we getting everywhere same value for x? When we are having 100 different equations for x, will we getting same value for x? No, we cannot get same value for x here, right? So are we getting unique numerical value here? You think of yourself, are we getting unique numerical value here? No. If I'm looking for a very layman way of thinking, can we say x can be 4 here, x can be 5 here, x can be 6 here, x can be 7 here? The values of x are keep changing. What we are looking for? Unique numerical value. So definitely we can say this particular statement is not giving us unique numerical value. It is not sufficient. Done. Zyada nahi karna. That's all. That's all you have to think. When it comes to GMAT paper and difficult papers, most of the time difficult papers are easy papers, nothing else, which you have to look into. Now, so we have done first statement. We can create 100 equations like this, and we can get 100 values like this. So infinite values of x are possible here. So first statement is anyway not sufficient. And when first statement not sufficient, we can remove answer option A and we can remove answer option D. So now probability is reduced to 33.33% to get the right answer. Now look at the second statement. If you see second statement, look at here. What is y? Y can be 1, 2, 3, 4, but it can also be 0 because y is greater than or equal to 0. Y can be 0. You tell me, if I'm writing x minus 3 is less than equal, listen very carefully, less than equal to minus y. Is it possible if I'm putting y is equal to 1, you are telling me x minus 3 is a less than minus 1. Is it even feasible? You tell me. Is it even feasible? Is it feasible to get negative value for modulus? Is it feasible? No, it is not feasible. No, you cannot get the negative values here. When you are writing y is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, what is only possible case? The only possible case when you're writing y minus 3 is equal to 0. The only possible case, because y can be 0 also. Sorry, x minus 3 is equal to 0. Y can be 0. It is given to us very clearly here. See, y can be 0 also. So y can be 0. But this, no, not possible. This, no, not possible. This, no, not possible. So when they are writing mod x minus 3 is less than equal to minus y only can take 0, nothing else y can take here. This is the only possible equation through statement 2. And when this is the only possible equation through statement 2, in that case, x should be equal to 3 here. Got it or not? You tell me. Got it or not? Here, y, they are saying y can be 0, y can be 1, y can be 2, y can be 3. I do not know what is y here. If you keep creating equations here, in the place of y, if you put here mod x minus 3, it can be 0. Mod x minus 3, it can be minus 1. Mod x minus 3, it can be minus 2. These are possible cases even? Below that, whatever come, it is not possible. So only possible cases left out through statement 2 is mod x minus 3 is equal to 0. And when mod x minus 3 is equal to 0, what has to be the x? X should be equal to only 3 here. So we got the unique value here. What is the unique value of x? X is equal to 3. So second statement is sufficient to the answer. So correct answer for this question will be B here. Clear? Any doubt you have, please ask. This is 700 plus level question. Any doubt you have? If you really want to score above 700, these questions you have to solve. Otherwise, you will not be knowing what traps are there. And I tell you, if you have attended my classes and Conceptsera classes, you would have seen we have only 50 traps. We drill it down to 50 traps, and every time you go and write GMAT, you see only these 50 traps. And that's why I'm keep writing and keep getting 51. Yeah, one case, Praveen, one case is there, right? Because whatever values of y are possible here, out of these infinite values, only one value will satisfy this equation. Other values will not satisfy the equation, Praveen. ठीक है ना? First case में भी 0 ले लेंगे तो क्या फर्क पड़ेगा हमारा कुछ? If you take the 0 in first case also, even though we are having multiple values for x, right? Because everything is getting satisfied. First case. So that's why here we are getting infinite values for x. We are not getting unique value for x. That's why it is not sufficient. Got it? Here these equations are not possible. That's why we left with only one case, and that's why we got the answer. I hope you're getting, and you should learning something from each and every question. That's the whole objective. That's why I'm discussing this question. That's the only objective. Why we are coming so late night and burning our light and lamp and discussing these questions to just increase your score, whatever you are getting now. And I will make sure that it will definitely increase. So from tomorrow onwards, we'll be having very structured way of question solving, especially the people who are the part of the Conceptsera, because we are starting our batch from Saturday onwards. And Saturday we are having very structured way of solving the questions. So if anybody is interested to the part of that, you can definitely give us a call, Conceptsera. We will definitely try to create difference. And that's why we are saying 24/7. You give us a call anytime, night, day, afternoon, whatever time. We are ready to get your doubt cleared. And we will clear in such a way, so you should be having some learning from those doubts, and you will not be committing those mistakes further. That will make sure. So can you look at this particular question, guys? And I know the guys who are coming up with me, I will be taking the classes along with Anurag, and other guys, which is who I think you will be knowing if you attended the last verbal workshop. He's a V48. Manoj will take all the verbal classes. He's so down to earth guys after scoring V48, which is kind of dream score for me in verbal ability. you cannot find better person than him. I give you guarantee for that when it comes to learning English. Anyway, marketing apart, I will say please try out the given question. We can have some learning from this question also. Take 1.5 minutes, it is allowed. And now you have understood how we handle the questions. Take few minutes, 1.5 minutes, and try out this question. We'll discuss it. Good. I'm happy that people are answering. At least they're trying out. They are here to learn something, not randomly watching some movie or directly I wanted to create here. Very good, guys. See, whenever you have questions, first of all, you decode what this question all about. What is given to us is 1 upon a minus b less than b minus a? Which category it belongs? Can we say it is a yes no question? For sure. So here we are having definitely yes no question. This is a yes no question. So I told you very clearly, whenever you see yes no question, you're supposed to get confirmed yes or confirmed no. When you got both of them yes and no, it means the statement is not sufficient. And whenever you look at the DS questions and questions are based upon modelers or questions are based upon inequations, in that case, please simplify question yourself. And how we can do so? Take here, if I say a minus b, assume that a minus b is equal to x. When you say a minus b is equal to x, you see, you can definitely change this question. And now question is what? 1 upon x is less than, what is b minus a? Minus x. Now you can understand this particular question in much better way. What question they're asking? Is 1 upon x less than minus x? When it is possible, you can ask, when it is possible? If x is a positive number, you ask yourself, when x is a positive number, is it possible? Is it true? No, it is not true, because negative number cannot be more than a positive number. No, it is not true. Now, second part, if I ask, if x is a negative number, is it true? Because if x is a negative number, then we can say this comes out to be negative here, because 1 by x will also be negative, and negative becomes positive here. So this will be positive, and we know all the positive numbers are less than negative numbers. This is something which we're having. So we got to know if x is a positive number, no, it is not true. When x is a negative number, yes, it is true. So ultimately, we have to see whether a minus b is a positive number or a minus b is a negative number. That's how we have to look into that. And the question is done. Now look at the first statement. First statement we can modify. First statement they are saying a less than b. We can write down this a minus b less than 0. Now a minus b is what here? X here. So we can say x is less than 0. What is this? If x is less than 0, can we say x is negative number? All the numbers which are less than 0 are negative numbers. So when they are saying x is less than 0, x is a negative number, it means first statement is sufficient to answer the question. And when first statement is sufficient to answer the question, answer cannot be B, D, and E out. The answer not possible. These answers immediately you can remove not possible. Answer can, B, C, and E are not possible. Answer can be A or D. This you know, right? AD by B, C, E. So if A is correct, then this is out, not possible. So now we have to look for the second statement, whether second statement is sufficient. So second statement is given to us, mod A minus B is greater than 1. So what is A minus B? X. A minus B is equal to 1. How can A minus B is equal to 1 when it is given to us A minus B is less than 0? A minus B cannot be less than 1, equal to 1, because 1 is something greater than 0. Got it? Here they are saying A minus B is less than 0, then definitely we can say it is not possible. Because what statement is given to us? A minus B is less than 0. We have to take only negative numbers in that case. Yeah, it can be minus 1. Yes, it can be minus 1. Minus 1 is possible. So if you put minus 1, it is definitely getting satisfied, right? Got it? If you take negative number, it is satisfied here. Look at the second part. We can write on here mod x is greater than 0. Now, when mod x is greater than 0, Avinav, you will take the case if A is equal to B only when it is given to a statement. Otherwise, how will you take the case? Whenever you are solving DS questions, you take statements as a truth statement which cannot be questioned. So you cannot make your own case and think about A is equal to B, because nowhere they wrote here A is less than equal to B. Okay? Equal to sign is not there. Anywhere equal to sign is not there. So you cannot take it. So here, if I take a mod x is greater than 0, boss, x can be 2, x can be minus 2, x can be 3, x can be minus 3. So in second statement, if you see, x can be positive also, or x can be negative also. And when x is positive as well as negative, then definitely we cannot decide whether this equation is true or this equation is not true. So here we can say this statement is not sufficient to answer you. Clear? Easy? So correct answer for this question should be A for Ahmedabad. This is easy. These questions are easy, even though this is a 700 plus level question. And now you understood how to solve the questions. My whole objective is to give you how to solve these questions. So simplify DS questions when you come across and solve it. I will take one easy question for you guys, so you should get some confidence. Okay, this guy is discussing only 700 plus level questions, and I'm getting all the questions wrong here. So let me pick one easy question, then we come back to few more questions based upon DS. I love DS because most of the people do not face problem when it comes to PS questions. 4 answer options are there. It is easy for us to pick one answer option. But when it comes to DS, we feel that from inside we are getting right answer, or we are doing right in paper. We feel that. But sometimes it is not true. So GMAT will give you a feeling of being good in terms of answering the question, but most of the time we don't do. This is also previous paper question. I am just trying to say this GMAT paper is not mathematics. People who are engineer may help them in terms of confidence. GMAT is all about the logical paper. Stop thinking you do not know math. Start thinking you know the logic. And when you know the logic, you are the person gonna score definitely 50 or 51 in GMAT. It will happen because I did so. And if you look at my background, I'm a non-engineer guy. I'm a non-engineer guy, and you can see that when I can score, I can make you score also. So can you try out this question? Very basic question I put here for you guys. Just want to see logic here, what logic you're trying to do. You would have definitely, my dear friend, you would have definitely solved the question the way I am trying and making you think. Anyway, if you think that for GMAT kind of the paper you have to put a lot of effort, soon you will change your opinion. Once you are with us, you will definitely drastically change your opinion in terms of GMAT paper. I'm giving you a guarantee. Your GMAT preparation, you can leave it to us. Start preparing and working on your SOP, because at the 11th hour, you'll be just making a SOP and profile building. Just try to work upon that and part with some NGO, read some business magazines. You try to do some work over profile building. GMAT preparation, you leave it to us. We'll make sure that you get a dream score. Because I know what way you are thinking. It is not your mistake. It is a mistake of Indian education system. They are making you think. Unless you do not assume, okay, this is X, this is Y, then we do not get feelings of that we are getting the right answer. So stop those feelings and look at it in a different way. So here, yeah, Harshit, we have a very different session altogether taken by the guy who's passed out from Booth College. That guy will come and speak about that profile building part here. I can help you in terms of writing your paper and getting your dream score for sure. Take a profile building. If you want to ask me, I have very good friend of mine. You can say student of mine. Whenever you want, we can do so. He is now part of Columbia Business School. I can ask him. And one more guy is in Singapore. I can ask these people to speak about profile building. But timing will be mismatched because these people are in US and Singapore. So that we have to adjust somehow. That we'll ask. Give us a time of close to 4 and 5 days. We will come up with these people. These people will come and speak about both of them are my students. One guy is from NUS, National University of Singapore. Other guy is from Booth College. So both of them will come and speak about the profile building, how they did so. Because both of them were my students and they scored more than 740. One guy 760, one guy 750. Anyway, come back to the point here. Look at this particular question, how you are thinking and how we can think. They are saying 2-digit numbers multiplied, such as what they're giving you, AB into BC is equal to 7663. Okay, it looks slightly weird number to me. Okay, how can I break this number in these two parts? If you are thinking in this way, you are again catching the wrong track in terms of solving the question. Because GMAT is not about breaking the number in two products, or they're looking for how good are you in product. If they really want to look how good are you in product, why they're allowing you even calculator in IR part where calculation is required. So GMAT is never ever gonna check how good are you in multiplication and division. No, they just wanna say check you have logic on place, because it is very difficult in paper to decode these numbers. What are these numbers? 79 into 97. Can you decode in paper? No, impossible to decode in paper. In given time is only 2 minutes. It is impossible to decode in paper. You cannot do so. So how are we supposed to approach? You look in a very basic way of approaching. And what is the basic way of approaching here? You see that product of two numbers is an odd number or even number? It is an odd number. Product of two numbers is an odd number. And when product of two numbers is an odd number, it means both the numbers are odd. AB is odd as well as BC is odd. Product of two numbers is an odd number. So what is the meaning of this? Both the numbers which we are using here, both of them are odd. AB is odd and BC is odd. What they're asking? AB plus BC. What is AB plus BC? Odd plus odd is what? Is it even or odd? Odd plus odd is even number. It's an even number. So we know that if we add AB and BC, we're supposed to get an even number. Look at the answer option, what they have given to us. Look at here. Shall we take more than 10 seconds to mark the answer? No, it is only 10 seconds question when you see in paper. And that's the GMAT. What you did, you tried to break this number. No, dear, no, you should not break this number. This is not the GMAT. This is not IIT JEE paper you are trying to write here. You are just trying to drill down to basic format, basic thing they're looking for. And you're just wasting time in terms of learning huge fundamentals. Fundamentals, I will say, no, they will not give you Shafiq. They cannot. If they're giving you, it means you are looking to a wrong track altogether. This is not possible. So answer options are designed in such a way, so they should be giving you flavor of what exactly logic is involved, not mathematics. When mathematics is involved, it is not a GMAT paper for sure. One last question we'll discuss here. One last question. And this question I picked from GMAT Advanced Official Guide. If you remember, one book is called GMAT Advanced Official Guide, which is again $29 book, I think, as far as I can recall here. It's a $29 book. So from that particular book, I picked this particular question here. Again, inequality-based questions. Multiple questions in your paper are based upon inequality. Look at this question and we can discuss this question. And this time, I want everybody know how to handle inequality. You cannot cancel anything. Remember, you can add, you can subtract both these sides, you can divide both these sides, multiply both these sides, but you cannot cancel anything. So try out this particular question and we'll discuss it. Good, guys, let's discuss here. Let's discuss the last question, then we'll discuss multiple things. Very good. I am happy that few of them definitely got the right answer here. See, number one, what is given to us? They are saying x plus y plus z is a positive number. This is given to us. X plus y plus z is a positive number. This is given to us. Here you see, if in both the sides, I told you, whenever you subtract both the sides or you add both the sides, then sign of inequality does not change. Remember, when you add same number both the sides or you subtract same number both the sides, then inequality sign will not be changing. But if you multiply, it depends whether the positive number or negative number, and same happens with division. So I'm not using multiplication division here. I'll be adding or subtracting something. So my sign of inequality will remain in the same direction. Let's do so. If I add both the sides z, let's add. So can we, if I add both the sides z, it becomes 2z is greater than x plus y plus z plus 1. Now look at here, when we got this particular part here, it is given to us x plus y plus z is greater than 0. So this part will be greater than 0 for sure. When this part is a positive number, can we say 0 plus 1? So 2z definitely greater than 1 for sure. I'm not sure because they're not integer. It can be 0.1. X plus y plus z can be 0.1. I'm not sure. I can only write down here 2z is greater than 1. So z we can say will be 1 by 2. So z is greater than 1 by 2. When z is greater than 1 by 2, Ayushman, what we did here, we added z this side and we added z this side. This same thing we did. So this became 2z and it became x plus y plus z plus 1. And this is given to us x plus y plus z is greater than 0. So this portion is greater than 0. Now plus 1 here. So can we say this 2z will be greater than 1 for sure? So z will be greater than 1 by 2. Now z is greater than 1 by 2. Is z greater than 1? You tell me. See, if you are subtracting, then you will not be getting x plus y plus z. You should look what exactly Ashwini given to us. Accordingly, you will decide. Okay, na? Accordingly, you will decide. So here, if z is greater than 1 by 2, can we say, is z greater than 1? No, it may be, may not be. If z is greater than 1 by 2, it can be 0.6 or 0.7 because 1 by 2 is 0.5. So z can be 0.6, 0.7 or z can be 100 also. I do not know. So first statement we can say not sufficient for sure. Not sufficient. Ultimately, why I'm adding here? Because ultimately we have to convert our number in the format of x plus y plus z. That's the whole objective. Look at the second statement. Second statement is what? X plus y plus 1 is less than 0. So this we can write, add z both the sides. X plus y plus z plus 1 is less than z. So here we can say z is greater than x plus y plus z plus 1. Now this part is what? Again, this part is greater than 0. When this is greater than 0, can we say z will remain greater than 1 for sure? Because 0 plus 1 will be definitely 1. So here it is greater than 0 and is 1. It will remain greater than 1 here. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. So here we can say z is greater than 1 here for sure. So correct answer for this question will be second is sufficient. B is the correct answer. Is z greater than 1? Yes, it is greater than 1. Clear? Easy? So I'm not discussing a lot of questions because I thought I will discuss 4 and 5 more questions here, but I don't know when 1 hour flight completely. We just finished 1 hour and we do not know how many questions we solved. So I'm just giving a brief idea about that, what exactly why we are conducting these workshops. Concepts-era has come up with a GMAT course in which we definitely make sure that you'll be scoring if a very serious aspirant. We are looking for a very serious aspirant. The people who can give us a call whenever they are having doubt, they're very serious to crack exam within 40 and 45 days maximum. They are looking for those people. And otherwise, anyway, you can come back to us. We can help you out. Not a big deal. So 740 batch we have already launched here, and batch is about to start from 18 July, right? July. And on Saturday we actually start. We'll have quant and verbal classes. Verbal, guys, is amazing. I will say you attend this one session, you will see the difference in your preparation. And most of the quant classes will be taken by I and Anurag. Don't worry about that. Quality will not be compromised. You can give me a call anytime, whenever you want. Yes, it is Hita. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. The structure which we have planned, you will never ever get anywhere. That's why we are very much sure you will definitely crack the paper. What structure we have planned? Saturday, Sunday workshop will happen. I mean workshop saying fundamental classes will happen to give you the concepts here. To give you the concepts. Thursday and Friday practice classes will happen to make sure that whatever concept we taught you and whatever homework we gave you, you are solving questions based upon that. And if you have any doubt, meanwhile, you can bring in practice classes. We will address those doubts, as well as assume that you did not understand a particular concept in class, or you understood but you forgot. You can conduct one-on-one meeting with us anytime in weekday. We are ready to do that. And but on one condition, you should be serious. You should be doing whatever homework we are saying. Conduct meeting. We will definitely clear enough number of doubts for you. And when you write GMAT mock, you can again schedule your meeting with us. We will one-on-one, we have discussion over that, and we analyze that mock for you. This is something which we are going to provide. So the guys will be involved in all this process. You anyway, my name is Ashank here. Timing, if you ask me that, you can call us. We can definitely discuss here. My number is 9591 663 005. We are starting batch from Saturday onwards, and we are looking for only 20 people. 20 personalized training I'm looking for, so I can make everybody score above 700 in worst case scenario. And out of this, I think close to 15 people already paid the money. So they have already joined after the last workshop happened on Saturday by Manoj sir. It already done. So timing, you can call us. We can discuss about the timing. It's not a big deal. Right? Class will be taken by Ashank, by my name. I scored Q51. Manoj is scored V48, and Anurag. These people are exam study expert. So these people will be involved in most of the taking the classes and clearing your doubts. And doubts anytime, 24/7. You can call us anytime. We are ready to do so. Any specific information you need, profile building, you need information about, okay, sir, I have done with my GMAT previously. How can you help me to improve? Don't feel anything wrong. Give us a call. We are just one call away. Not in the beginning, anytime throughout your course, unless I will not be sending you into your dream college. Don't worry, we will with you every time. But what we want, only serious aspirant. If you are really willing to score more than 700, contact us. Otherwise, excuse. I will write down the number again. Don't worry. My number is 9591. Generally, I do not give my personal number, but for GMAT aspirants, I know they are very much serious. That's why I share my number. This is my name, Ashank. You can Google my name. You will get to know what exactly I have done in life. It doesn't matter anyway. I was an entrepreneur multiple times, serial entrepreneur, you can say. But a lot of stories has been covered. So you can give us a call. We'll definitely discuss that. Any doubt you have regarding, okay, profile building classes, I will ask my students. I have multiple students in US and Singapore and in Canada. They definitely, I can catch them back because everybody is still connected with me. So they'll be definitely having session for you if you any help you need from my student side. So don't worry about that. Thank you so much for being here. I'm very happy. I got tremendous response at late evening. I know it is a sleeping and having dinner time, but thank you so much for coming here, and definitely welcome to Conceptsera and trusting Conceptsera and trusting me. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much, and see you in next class.